For all of you that just finished the registration process in the audience, thank you so much. My name is Leo, L-E-O, and I'll be hosting this presentation for the next 30 to 45 minutes. I'll give you an overall review of the application, and then I'll switch into a Q&A mode. So if you have any questions, please feel free to start sending them into the GoToMeeting panel. You can do that with the chat widget included into the GoToMeeting panel. You can just type messages there, and I'll make sure that I cover those questions at the very end. So to get things started, I'm going to now be moving into the screen. If for some reason you're not able to see me moving, please make sure to raise your hand and let me know. That way I can make sure that the visual is up and running for everyone. Before I start showing you HappyFox, I'm going to be using a couple of slides to quickly explain what we are going to be doing today. Through these webinar sessions, I try to keep them as simple as possible. So we cover three basic areas. First, we talk about ticket requests and ticket management, how those tickets will come in, how you get to work with them. Then we'll talk about measuring trends and performance. Specifically, we'll be talking about reports. And lastly, I'll do a quick review through the backend of the application, so HappyFox administration. How can you customize some of these areas or features in the application? With that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started with item number one. And to do that, I wanted to explain first how tickets will come into HappyFox. You'll be able to utilize an array of different channels. You'll be able to use our RESTful API. So if you have an existing web form already built in and you want to be able to generate tickets from that form, absolutely, you can do that. You'll be able to tie in your social media accounts like Facebook, Twitter. You'll be able to use HappyFox Chat to provide support to your end users and generate tickets from those chat conversations. You'll be able to generate tickets from phone calls. We have integrations with Twilio and soon to be released RingCentral as well. And even if you're not using those integrations, you can also, as you're taking inbound calls from your regular phone line, you will be able to manually enter a ticket on behalf of a customer. You'll be able to do email to ticket, which is one of the most popular ways of communication out there. So if you have an email address dedicated for, let's say, support@mycompany.com, something like that, you can type in your email address into your HappyFox account. Automatically, every email sent there becomes a ticket. So now your team can start managing all those communications. You, in fact, will be able to bring in as many inboxes as desire, as long as you're in the Mighty and Above plans. And I'll mention that towards the end of this webinar. And one of my favorites, you will be able to build your own web forms. Basically, HappyFox offers you what is called a client web portal or a client support portal where your end users can interact, see a knowledge base that you get to build. And that said, let me go ahead and go directly into that tab and start showing you that client portal. The first thing that I want you to notice here is that you will be able to have your own vanity URL, your own logo. So branding is very important, right? You will be able to preserve your branding from your website. And this page can become part of your site. You'll be able to redirect users here so they can easily search through your knowledge base, as I mentioned before, and submit new tickets. In terms of a knowledge base, we do the indexing for you automatically. That means that it's easy for your customers or peers to come in and search for information. So if you notice, I type certain keywords and the knowledge base reacts by telling me what could be the possible articles that match that criteria. And users, obviously, as they search through the knowledge base, sometimes they might not be able to find their answers, so they can't really do self-service at that point. They will be able to submit a ticket via web form. And what you're about to see is specific to my demo account. So all these custom fields, you will be able to build on your own. It will take minutes. Super simple. It requires no coding. And what it does give you an opportunity to have your customers to interact with you, provide some granular information when they're submitting requests to you. So if you notice, again, all this cascading effect that you see me playing with through my web form, all of that can be built with your own custom fields, your own values. Those fields can be drop downs, multi-choice, text fields, date widgets, etc. Now, understanding how tickets will come in, right, whether it's via web form, chat, API, email, social media, all those tickets will come into one centric place. And for that, I'm going to take you into the staff portal. This is basically where you manage all these tickets coming in. So the first thing that I want you to notice, I'm sitting right into the list view page. It's a great place for it to be. I can actually see quickly where every single ticket is at. So if you notice the color tabs to the left side, those are indicating my statuses. You will be able to customize your own statuses. This represents your workflow, the way how your team will interact with the system to keep track of the progression through every task, every ticket out there. So again, all these colors and naming convention that you see, that's up to you. You get to design that. You will be able to do powerful searches. So if you notice on the advanced search dropdown, you can use keywords that could be part of the communication within a ticket. You might search tickets by specific contact, tickets that might have a unique due date, tickets that might have an attachment, or tickets that might have breached an SLA. Yes, SLAs are possible as well. You can set SLAs based on a work schedule, for instance, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. If you start breaching those SLAs, you'll see these type of alerts that you see to the right side of the screen. So for instance, on this brand new ticket, I've failed to respond quick enough, and so now it's telling me that I'm falling behind. What else can we do in this screen? Well, as we start working with advanced searches, especially if you're using the web form, look at this. You will be able to search even by your own custom fields. So what I'm trying to show you right now is the fact that you can look up for unique data included within certain custom fields so that you can quickly find all those specific tickets. You will be able, if you have a bulk amount of tickets that match that criteria, you'll be able to select as many as you can see in this screen and do a mass replied, mass status update. So it saves you time. You will be able to sort views in different angles, so unresponded tickets first, or tickets that match from the newest to closest based on your own workflow, oldest to newest, etc. You will be able to filter your categories or queues, right? So categories could be a separation of different type of tickets or separations of teams. So you can quickly filter these views. If you have access to multiple queues, you can then start filtering them to view specific data. Now, let me go ahead and browse really quick through these tickets. As you can tell, some of them have been assigned to me, Leo, and some others to Eric Hansen. Assignment can happen in many ways. Assignment can happen manually. As you notice, I can click into the assigned to area and opens a drop down where I can select certain individuals, including myself. Assignment could occur via auto assignment. So tickets will come in and in a way of a round robin can be distributed among the team. When a ticket is assigned to somebody else, I might still be able to follow up on that ticket. So for instance, in this one right here, got assigned to Eric and it was raised by Mary, Mary being the customer. I can follow that conversation and the progression in that ticket if I subscribe myself to it. So that means Eric and I can collaborate on this ticket. Look at what else you'll be able to do. Let me go ahead and open one of these tickets, and by clicking on top of the title, it'll actually display all the details within the ticket. So If you notice, you will be able to have all your contact custom fields and ticket custom fields separated on top of a ticket. So you can quickly determine some basic information about this request, about the requester and the request itself. These custom fields, you will be able to interact with them. They're not set in stone, especially if you're getting a ticket via email. After obviously reading the initial message, you will be able to come back into the ticket fields or additional information and edit that information. So you can add some values in there. This is metadata. This is important because you then will be able to utilize this through custom reports that you can build to determine what are the most typical trends. And we'll talk about reports in a few minutes from now. I'm going to keep scrolling down to the bottom of the page, and you'll notice that I'm entering into the message area. This is, in essence, an audit trail. We keep track of everything that happens on a ticket. All the communication back and forth with the staff member and the customer or the person who raised the ticket, all that communication back and forth gets recorded right here. So it's easy for you to go back, see in a very transparent and granular way what is being done about that ticket. If one of your coworkers is not in the office and somebody else needs to take over, now it's easier for them to do so because they get to see all the details. The system will keep track of internal actions such as updating statuses, updating values in custom fields, assignment, smart rules, which are automation, and we'll talk about those in a moment here. So not only messages, but also internal actions are being kept within this audit trail. You will also be able to even view what we define as private notes. Private notes are internal messages, right? So your customers will never see those, only the staff members behind the help desk. And that, by the way, is an alternative to collaborate within tickets. I can send a private message to one of my peers to help me with this ticket. And that's what you see down at the bottom of the screen. You have two possibilities here. You can add an update or add a private note. I'm going to go ahead and open add an update to quickly mention what are the possibilities here. Add an update means, guys, that you can basically type a message back to your customer. It's like sending an email. As a matter of fact, your customer is going to get a notification sent from your generic email address, right? So, for instance, support at my generic address, support at mycompany.com. Sorry. I apologize. I had a little bit of a distraction there in the screen, so let me go ahead and clean that up. So the end user will receive a notification from that generic email address. They'll be able to respond to that. This is another very important portion of this application, guys. Your end users will never get an email that will say something like "do not reply," or I'm sure you've seen this before, reply above this line. But as soon as you hit the reply button, the whole thing is so convoluted you don't even know where to click. None of that exists in HappyFox. You will be able to brand these templates so they look like a normal email address. Your end users should have a seamless interaction. Make it easier on them. So here's what's going to happen. As I type this message to Joe, that's exactly what he will get. He will get a support at mycompany.com message signed by me, Leo. So there's still a possibility of having that personal touch. Your agent name might still be added on into the message so the end user knows who they're interacting with. Along with the messages, look at this. You will be able to add CCs, BCCs, attach files, add screenshots in line with your message. You will be able to utilize CAN actions. And those are, in essence, CAN responses. We call it CAN actions because they perform multiple tasks at the same time. So if you notice, I'm going to open this drop down, select reset password, for instance. It added some instructions. Keep in mind, this is a demo account, so it's all random data. But as I add that response, it automatically updated my status. So I don't have to move any of those drop downs. The system did it for me, hence CAN actions. You will also be able to, think about this, you're going to start gathering data from these tickets and creating a knowledge base. Now you need to start nurturing that behavior for your end users to come in and find their own answers. So as you start getting some of these tickets are repetitive, you can start embedding links to your knowledge base so you can start guiding them to go there first. that is in essence what you'll be able to do in terms of communicating with your end users. If you notice, you will be able to kind of keep track of the time spent, whether you do it manually or do it via timer, which mine is paused right now. But again, the system has the capacity to automatically fire up a timer and keep track of your level of engagement with this ticket. That is going to be part of your metrics, which we're going to see in a minute here. Before I move away from this screen, I just want to highlight the fact that there's a couple more neat actions available to you. You will be able to forward tickets to third party, clone tickets if you need to split a task with somebody, merge tickets. The end user submitted a repeated request. Why are you working both of them? You can actually merge them and just work one of them. So again, keep in mind there are many other actions or a lot more functionality built into the system available to your agents. Now, let me go ahead and take you back into this slide here for a moment. And what we've done, guys, is we've actually talked about ticket request and ticket management, right? How tickets come in, how you will be managing them, the day-to-day, changing statuses, adding responses. Let's talk about measuring trends and performance, right? So specifically, let's learn now about our data. For that, I'm going to take you back into my staff portal and point you directly into reports. You will be able, before I start showing you these views, let me point out the fact that you will be able to create your own custom reports. You don't need to know any querying language or anything too complicated to create your own reports, create your own data sources, right? If you need to create certain unique report to find certain values for tickets in your account, look at this. Through conditions, you will be able to define your data source. So if you wanted to see, for instance, tickets that were sent by a unique requesting help with a unique product, for instance. So again, all these fields that you see right here are going to be part of your own custom fields. So you define the type of data that you want to see. So again, kind of following up the example that I was giving you there, if I wanted to see tickets related to a unique situation and unique type of request or product, you can do that. You can add conditions to define the source, then share that report with some of your peers. What you will see and learn about these reports is basically this. Imagine that you created that type of report, right? Pointing into a unique product or type of request. Depending on the date range that you're selecting, keep in mind, because this is a demo, I'm using a year to date. So obviously you can select the different ranges right here through the date field. But in essence, you get to learn that for that type of product, you've received, for instance, 57 tickets, out of which only 17 is being completed. 40 are still in the works. Look at this. You'll be able to see your daily intake of tickets, right? So you can now start scheduling your teams accordingly. You'll be able to learn about bottlenecks. Where are those tickets today? Remember, you define your statuses. So this is basically your own workflow and how each one of them is holding certain amount of tickets. You'll be able to learn very quickly how your work is distributed among your team members. Different type of categories of tickets that you receive. You'll be able to learn about SLAs. Service level agreements, right? So think of it as timers. Every time you receive a new ticket, you might have a commitment to your customers to respond within, say, 45 minutes from the time the ticket was submitted. Well, that's it. You will be able to create those SLAs in HappyFox. You'll be able to say, our SLAs only run Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. So if a ticket comes in on a Sunday night, it will wait until Monday, say 9:45 a.m. At that point, if you have not touched and responded to that ticket, then it might get marked as bridge. But the beauty on this is that through these reports, again, you get to see each of the different type of SLAs you've created, how many tickets have been measured against that SLA, how many of those tickets have been bridged, and how far you are from the team target that you set in your account. Within reports, another really interesting point here, you will be able to export your data into Excel. As an administrator, you can do that, so you can now dissect your information a little more. We will include all the tickets in rows, custom fields as columns. So now you can create all sorts of interesting pivot tables. Continue working here in the browser. You will be able to use these toggle buttons to change the different views, right? Look at this. You will be able to quickly determine what is the average first response time. So how quickly is your team to react? How quick are they to react to these tickets, right? How many responses does it take in average before they close tickets? So you can measure the overall health as a team, as an organization. But then you can also measure that at an individual level. So if you have a team of 30, 40 individuals, you need to start looking into each one of them and how they're doing. So you can start counseling some of those guys that might be running behind the average out there, right? So if you notice right here, here's my staff performance views where I can see every individual, how quickly or how slow they respond to their tickets. I can also measure the amount of work that they're handling, right? So through my next view, I can quickly determine how many tickets are being assigned to them, how much time they spent so far, how many responses they sent into every ticket to the requesters. And talking about the requesters or clients or people that submit tickets, right? Notice the very last view, the customer activity. That is basically every single one of those individuals submitting tickets to your team. How many of them they submitted? How much time have you spent to resolve those tickets? So even at that angle, you get to see some statistics that are very useful. In terms of interacting with customers, we do offer a satisfaction survey, and customers will get a nice email, customizable email. Again, you get to customize that content, and within that email, you'll be able to include a table, 3 buttons where the end user will be able to either reply to the email, which gets threaded into the ticket, or they'll be able to vote and provide that feedback. We keep track of those votes right here on the report section. As you can see, I can quickly determine if some of my staff members have been receiving feedback and who are those customers submitting the feedback. So if I ever see something that came back as negative or not satisfied, I can always go back, research into the interaction of a ticket, and be able to learn from that situation so we can improve products or improve processes within our company. Again, for the audience, I wanted to remind everyone, if you have questions, please feel free to start typing them through the chat widget on the GoToMeeting. I've only seen a few coming in. Please feel free to add more, and I'll make sure to address those questions at the very end. For the time being, I'm going to take you back into this slide. And so we've covered now item number 1, how those tickets come in, how you manage them. We've covered item number 2, learning about trends on these reports and performance of your teams. And now we're going to move a little bit into the HappyFox administration. So the back end, item number 3. All this functionality that you've seen, it's really simple to manage. So I'm just going to highlight a few items to just get your curiosity going. I'm going to go directly into manage. Remember how I showed statuses and I mentioned you'll be able to customize those? That's your workflow. That's perhaps one of the most important items that you need to define in your account. If you notice what I'm doing into manage general, at the bottom of the page, you have access to prioritize not only color themes, but you'll also be able to prioritize priorities, statuses. So this is the area where you go and personalize your account. Very simple UI, as you can tell. You can add statuses, add an order, set a certain behavior to them. All these statuses will take part of your regular work. You may also add automation in HappyFox. So for instance, since I'm talking about statuses, let's talk about this one in particular, manager review. Let's imagine for a moment that we wanted to have the system to do something automatically. As soon as one of our staff members marks a ticket with that status, perhaps we want to alert certain individuals in the executive team. Let's mimic that behavior for a moment. So for that, I'm going to take you into a section called Smart Rules. This is all about streamlining your work. And Smart Rules countless amount of scenarios that you can create. This one in particular, if you notice, I'm going to say manager review alert to exec team. Let's call it that for lack of imagination here. I can set a work schedule for my smart rule. If I want it running 24/7, I can just keep it as such. And look at this. Similar to what you saw on reports, you will be able to work with conditions, but here's the difference. Notice the bottom of the screen. You will be able to work with conditions to identify certain type of tickets to then perform an action. That's it. That's how simple it is. So now I can go and say, and again, through these conditions, you can use your own custom fields and values, or certain set areas like statuses, for instance, right? So I can say, if you ever encounter a ticket that gets set with the manager review status, why not? Let's go ahead and send an email to certain individuals in my team. So I might do something like this. Okay, and the subject of the email is needs approval, and on the content area, I want you to notice that you will be able to utilize tags to dynamically include content from your custom fields, etc. So now whoever you're directing that email to, they'll receive plenty of information, so they'll know what to do. Smart rules can be used in many different scenarios, as I mentioned before. I'm going to highlight a very common one out there. For instance, and I'm sure you will relate to this, every time that you, for instance, work a ticket, one of your staff members work a ticket, and the requester, your staff members send a response to the requester, right? And the requester never replies. They simply disappear on you. Let's say that 15 days has passed by since the time that the staff member responded. Why are we going to keep that ticket open, right? And why are we going to spend the resources of sending somebody to look into a bunch of tickets that you might have responded in the past and you forgot to close, or didn't close it because you wanted to kind of follow up on the situation? Again, if you think about it, it's a waste of resources. So what you can do is you can teach the system to automatically do these actions for you. So in a case like this, where a ticket is no longer new and you've already responded and X amount of days has passed by, why not close that ticket? So those are the different kind of things you'll be able to build to streamline your work and make things easier for your team. Now, let me go ahead and touch base on another important item within HappyFox. Earlier, I mentioned communication with your end users, your requesters, clients, however you want to call them. We mentioned how important it is about preserving your branding. If you notice, I'm sitting into the Manage Notifications section of the screen. You will be able to work and modify every single one of those templates, like a new ticket autoresponder template. So every time a customer submits a ticket, the first notification that goes out to them acknowledging the ticket itself. You may also adjust the template for your regular responses, right? So let me show you how that looks like. And again, we have some pre-built samples there for you, but you have the freedom to come in and change, make whatever changes you like, add your logos, change the signatures, etc. So you have freedom to personalize this in a way that your end users will have a very seamless interaction. A couple other very interesting features within HappyFox. Again, we let you build the web forms that I mentioned in the beginning. Let me show you really quick in terms of creating custom fields. Some of the options available to you. You will be able to create dependency. That's basically what builds the cascading effect. Based on a previous response, a new field will show up. You'll be able to create different type of fields, such as what you see in this drop down. You'll be able to make these fields to be only visible to you. So certain fields will not be displayed in the web form. They'll only be displayed within the ticket and available for your staff members. You'll be able to make those fields required or not. And you can actually build unique fields for each of your queues or categories. Now, since I mentioned categories, let me go ahead and take you directly into that portion of the system. This is basically what builds that separation. And again, it could be the type of tickets, it could be teams, such as support level 1, support level 2, etc. Or completely different divisions within your company, kind of like I have in my demo account. The beauty on these categories is that it's the foundation to add those custom fields, right? So then you have unique forms on your client portal, but it's also the foundation for your teams in terms of separations of who gets to see what and who gets to manage different type of tickets. So if you notice what I've done, I've added my accounting category, and something interesting about this is you'll be able to add a unique email address which you can forward directly into your HappyFox account. So every email sent to accounting@mycompany.com, it will create a ticket in the accounting category, right? And every email sent to support@mycompany.com, it will create a ticket in my support category, and so forth. You'll be able to even determine how the responses are going to look like, right? What email is going to be the from address when sending responses. And more importantly, you will be able to associate your team members. So again, build separations. In this case, I actually build my demo account as have different divisions. Then I can say my accounting team is these 2 individuals. That means they don't get to, nobody else get to see these tickets, right? And I might actually build it on a purpose because the accounting team shouldn't be looking into support tickets. So I want to build it in a clean way so every single one of my teams don't have distractions and they can concentrate on what is really related to their work. There is one more item that I wanted to mention, and then I'm going to switch. I see a couple of questions here in the audience, but I want to say that as you saw in my client portal, we have a very powerful knowledge base. You will be able to add articles in there where your clients and users will be able to search for information and do self-service. That's really useful, guys. I have customers that tell me all the time, wow, yes, that works. We start publishing a knowledge base and we've seen a reduction of these redundant tickets that we used to get for similar questions all the time, right? Now our end users can see their answers within the client support portal, and they're happier, right? They don't have to wait for someone to respond into a ticket, for instance. So I'm not trying to tell you that you're going to go away from receiving tickets, but you could alleviate some of those repetitive questions that you get quite often by adding on the appropriate content. The knowledge base is a content editor. So in essence, you'll be able to copy paste data from a Word document. You can add your own text directly right here, format it different font sizes, colors. You'll be able to embed videos. Look at that. So the video player is within the article. You're not redirecting your users to YouTube or Vimeo, right? They can watch the video tutorial right here within the article. You can embed your images. So depending on the type of article you're building, if you're supporting a product, for instance, you can build almost like tutorial style articles and whatnot. One item that I do want to highlight, which is really interesting and powerful, is the fact that you can also build a knowledge base that is for internal consumption only. So think of it as your own wiki. That means your team behind the help desk will be able to have a separate knowledge base where they can search for information on how to resolve certain type of tickets, for instance. That information, by using this little checkbox that says internal article, it becomes just private, only to you guys behind the help desk. A consumer, customer, requester, end user, whatever you want to call them, will never see that article. You will be able to add attachments to your articles. You'll be able to add tags. By the way, tags is another way to enrich the indexing, right? As I mentioned in the very beginning of this presentation, we index the subject and the content itself, but you can enrich that by adding tags. So at this point, guys, I'm going to take you back into this slide for a quick moment. We've actually addressed every single one item through this checklist, and I'm going to now switch into a Q&A mode. And I do have several questions here, so if you submitted a couple, just hang on, I'll get to you, I promise. So let me go ahead and address them in order here. First of all, I noticed one of you had asked me about how many inboxes can I tie in into my HappyFox account. And as a matter of fact, to answer that question, I'm going to direct you first into our regular website and into our pricing page. We offer 4 different plans. There's an entire list of available features for each one of them. When it comes to mailboxes, our cheapest plan allows you up to 10, so it's limited. Once you go into a Mighty and above, you have unlimited amount of inboxes. Mighty and above, as a matter of fact, are perhaps a most suitable type of plans for businesses. This basically allows you to have round robin, SLA management, etc. So I do invite everyone in the audience at the very end to visit happyfox.com, specifically the pricing page, to view all those features. So back into the question, and in terms of adding these inboxes, you will basically go into manage categories. You can add, as you can see in my demo right now, I've dedicated a unique email address to each one of my categories. You can build exactly the same. Okay, I do have another question here in regards to knowledge base. Do you do automatic translations? We don't. We do allow you to have articles in different languages, but you do have to provide your own translation. So if you notice, here it is a set of languages that you can select. And again, you will be able to add your own content. We don't provide a translation. The reason why we've built this language configuration here is for you to instruct the system certain articles are tied into certain language, and that allows your end users, for instance, when you look into my client portal, an end user could actually select whether they want to read my knowledge base articles in Spanish or English, right? Because I have now articles in both languages. Okay, let me go ahead and address the next question here. Is it possible to search tickets by custom fields? Yes, it is possible. So let me take you back into the ticket list view, and I'm going to explain a couple of items here. So if you notice the search, usually most of us are accustomed to kind of click on the drop down for the advanced search and see all these different options available to you. Quite honestly, if you're doing a search by a custom field that you're already using, you just need to start typing the beginning of the name of that custom field. So notice that it automatically pre-populates that name of that field. So now you can say, oh, I am looking for all the tickets that within this custom field might contain this value. So if you notice right now, I've found all the tickets where in the department is tied into sales. That means I can now grab all these fields, and as I mentioned earlier, do a mass reply, mass status update. Also, I want you to notice this. Save. If I find myself doing this search query quite often, I might just simplify my life by just saving it so I can reuse it at a later time. So all my sales tickets, okay? So I can always come back and re-engage that search query. How do I re-engage these previous use queries? If you notice to the left side of the search menu, if I click right on top of the lens, you'll see a drop down with all the previously saved searches. Okay, just got another question here in regards to how do I filter this view in order to see my own tickets and nobody else? Well, there's a couple of ways to do that. The easiest one is you can actually go into My Queue. So if you notice all the way in the sub-navigation bar, My Queue can be programmed to do that, to just show tickets assigned to you. It's perhaps the easiest way. By the way, you can change the filters using My Queue. If you go into My Settings, you'll be able to modify it, add more filters. So perhaps you want to see tickets assigned to you, or tickets that have been not assigned to anyone and require help or assistance. So again, you can modify the filters in my queue within the My Settings section. The other option available is that you could obviously create a unique search where the assignee will have your name, right? So as you populate that and do the search, again, you're just instructing the system that you want to see tickets where you're either subscribed to and or owning those tickets. Let's see, any other questions? Okay, I just see just one coming in. How do I manually enter a ticket? I do want you to notice all the way up into the main section on top, new ticket, very simple. Couple of things about these guys. If you're getting an inbound call, right, and you need to raise a ticket on behalf of a client, if it's an existing client, you can use the lookup area to make your life a little bit easier. So look at this. I can actually say, well, Mary's calling in. By typing her name, it lists all the different Marys that I have in my account, so I can select the right one based on a phone number and an email address. And as soon as I select that person, the system will automatically update all my contact details fields, so I don't have to do that manually. Then I can just go ahead and move into my ticket details and continue asking Mary, okay, Mary, what exactly are you having trouble with? What can we do for you? And keep in mind, guys, all these fields that you see are unique to my account, so you'll have your own custom fields on this section, right? But what you're doing basically is raising a ticket on behalf of that person that is calling in. So let's say, where do I find a manual? So if you notice, I'm just going to go ahead and create the ticket, and it automatically takes me over to the ticket list view. It brought the details for Mary and all the custom fields that I completed on her behalf. I'm now ready to send an update with whatever information she's requesting. I have one more question here. Is it possible to import and export contacts? It is possible to import contacts. So if you go into the contact section, this is an administrative activity. So as long as you are an administrator in HappyFox, you will be able to have access from the contact tab. You will have a live link that you notice to the right side called import contacts. If you are using a trial account, more likely that is not available to you. Please reach out to your sales manager, and he or she will be able to enable that. Importing contacts can be done via Excel. So as long as you have an Excel file with a column for name, column for email, column for phone number, you will be able to bring in that list. Exporting contacts is not possible, so you can only import contacts. You could use our RESTful API to read information about your contacts. So that's an alternative, but that will require your internal tech team or development team to build something like that. So what you're looking at is our HappyFox API documentation. If you're interested, send me a note and I'll be more than happy to share this with you at the end of this call. Now, the beauty of importing your contacts is that now, as you can tell, if you're dealing with a high volume of calls, that's great, right? Imagine the amount of time that it'll save you by being able to quickly identify your customers from a name lookup, right? So we can quickly bring in their information and start adding a ticket on their behalf. I have one more question in regards to reports. There's a couple of things available to reports. A lot of these views, if not most of them, have an export to Excel. So you will be able to export this one in particular. The tabular view is one of my favorites because it does provide a full master export of your ticket details. You will also be able to schedule your reports to be delivered as a way of an HTML page. So you can actually create a report and set it to be delivered on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to your inboxes. You can select other teammates to receive a copy of that. And what you're about to see is what you will get in your email. It's just a summary of that report that you have scheduled for delivery, right? And it'll give you again a breakdown of for that type of tickets that you set on the report. What's the status on those tickets? What's the priority? Who is assigned to them? Have we breached SLAs? What are the overall stats in terms of how quickly we're responding or number of responses that you are applying before you close a ticket? I got one more question in regards to localization of HappyFox. So if you have a team that is located in different countries, again, I'm going to point into the My Settings page. You will be able to have your teammates, for instance, if you have a group of individuals in South America and they speak Portuguese for Brazil or Spanish for all the other countries in South America, they will be able to switch their unique HappyFox to Spanish or all these different languages that you see. So you can either do it at the global level or at the individual level, as you see right here. There is one more item that I want to show. And again, if there are any other questions, please feel free to send us my way. In case of help, where do we go? So now I've attended this webinar and I have an idea of what HappyFox is capable of doing. I'm setting up my trial account and I have questions. What can I do? First of all, make sure to work directly with your salesperson, and they are a good source of information. But also, if you look at the top right corner, support. By clicking on that button, you will be automatically opening our support widget where you'll be able to chat with our tech support, submit tickets, or search through our knowledge base. So if I needed help with email, setting up email, look at this. I'm going to go ahead and type a quick word, and I might just go ahead and select one of these articles, which directly takes me into our knowledge base and gives me a full tutorial on how do I convert email to tickets. So again, take advantage of that, guys. Our team is always happy to assist with questions. We do have, and I'll briefly mention this, besides all these features that I've demonstrated earlier, besides a great level of support, we have some added on integrations into the system that adds a tremendous value to your platform. So if you're working with a CRM or social media, you'll be able to add on some of those plugins to enrich your data in HappyFox. This is a very complete platform. If you get stuck, if you have questions, if you want to learn more, please reach out to us. Let us know. We'll help you. If you have not started a trial account at this point, I will strongly suggest that you go into happyfox.com and start one of our trials. 30-day trial. You'll be able to experiment with all the different features and functionality. I will also encourage you to visit our pricing page, not only because you will be able to see the costs related to each plan level, but also at the bottom of this page, we have a full listing of every feature included in every plan. That way you're informed into what might be the best fit for your company. For all of you guys in the audience, again, my name is Leo, L-E-O. I will remain online for a few more minutes, so I do want to encourage, if you have any other questions, please go ahead and send those over.